You are
Good
live.
day, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We're thrilled that you have joined us for a conversation on beneficial ownership. I'm Alma Pinkham from the Corporate Education Unit, and I will guide the conversation today with the help of my colleague Simon Vignani. He's from the same unit. And then I also have Lorita Claassen with us, who is from our Corporate Legal Unit. Lorita will be responding to the questions gathered from beneficial ownership queries that we regularly receive from customers. With that, we can dive in. Simon?
Thank you very much, Elma, and then thank you for having us in studio this morning. Loretta, I just wanted to find out what company type must I select and what are the required documents to be uploaded?
Unfortunately, Simon, we cannot give legal advice with regards to what company type you have to select. There's questions that you need to ask, and based on those questions, you will then know what type of company you have. I think we have exhausted the affected companies questions quite a lot. We have dealt with that. If I stand to be corrected. The other options is the three types of companies that you do get is the affected without BO, non affected company, non-affected with beneficial ownership, and non-affected without beneficial ownership. The difference come in you will have to determine what type of company you have by asking the questions whether it's a public company, is it a state-owned company, did the private company transfer more than 10% of its securities in the last within the 24 months before the declaration? Is a private company majority owned or controlled by an affected company? And is the private company a subsidiary of an affected company? And that will indicate if you say yes, you do know that you are a affected company. Non-affected company with BO will be when you have um, the persons that you know that are controlling the company. Whether yes, the question that you will have to ask is regarding the beneficial is owners is does a person hold securities for the of a natural person? Um, do they have 5% of the voting rights of the company? Um, do the person do you have right to appoint or resign or remove persons? And then also, is there any like the board of directors that perform a function on behalf of the company? And then that would be a non-affected company with beneficial ownership. That's normally the 5% threshold comes in where you will indicate the persons. Then a non-affected company without BO, that will be when there is less than 5% interest held by a beneficial owner. And then also, um, yes, I think I explained that. I hope it makes sense.
Thank you very much, Loretta. The second question is that we have had, several webinars which focus on affected companies and the documents required for such companies. Therefore, could you please mention the documents to be submitted by non-affected companies?
Right. Non-affected companies with beneficial ownership is um, where the beneficials are declared. In other words, when you file the beneficial ownership, there's the blocks where you fill in the information of the beneficial owners. Um, that the supporting documents that you will need would be the mandate given to the filer, meaning the person who is filing the beneficial ownership on behalf of the company. That must be signed by 50% plus one of the shareholders, or in the case of members, all the members need to give that person permission to file the beneficial ownership on behalf of the company. Certified ID copies of the filer, as well as the beneficial owners that you are declaring. And then, in the case of a complex ownership structure, the documentation must include a disclosure form. The reason for that is you are giving us all the information that is needed, but the disclosure form is like drawing a picture for us to see who falls in where. The documents, let me just go over that. So it will be the mandate to give the person permission to file. It will be the securities register. On the securities register, it must be in terms of Section 52 of the Companies Act, agreed with the Regulation 32 of the as amended. And then, so on the securities register, all the beneficial owners must appear. If it's a juristic person, unfortunately, or fortunately, we will need to see that juristic person, and we will need to see who is representing that juristic person. Same with the trust. If a trust is a beneficial owner, obviously it's a juristic person, he needs to, someone needs to give him permission. And we want to know who are all the beneficiaries in the trust, as well as the trustees of the trust. So the trust documents should also be filed. NPCs without members must file the list of the directors, because the directors are running the company on behalf of the non-profit company. Then non-affected companies without any beneficial owners. That would be when you have a beneficial owner that has got less than 5%. So you don't capture it on the natural person side. That will be, we will still need a mandate by the directors, 50% plus one of the directorship of the company, or all the members that need to sign it. But yes. Then we will also need to have the certified ID copy of the filer. We will need the securities register again, where it shows all the beneficial owners. And we will need to have the, what's the word I'm looking for? Apologies. We will need to have the, a disclosure, once again, will help to indicate who falls in where in the company.
So if we could discuss the different registers, what is the difference between an interest register and a security register?
Security register is the company is in charge, is governed, it's governed internally. So according to the Companies Act, every company must have a security register where it indicates who has yes, the security register will indicate who's got interest in the company, whether it's juristic or natural persons. All the persons that has interest in the company must appear on the security interest register, security register.
Thank you, Loretta. And then why is the security register required?
That is to determine the natural person. The whole reason for the beneficial ownership is because the beneficial owner cannot be a juristic person. It needs to drill down to a natural person. So if there is a company, a declaring company, and it has a juristic person as a security register, on the security register, we want to know who is sitting behind that company. If it's another company, we will need to, basically it goes down to the natural person. At the end of the day, We want to know who the natural persons are that is making the decisions for the company. And yes, who makes the decisions? The natural person, because a juristic person cannot make a decision. It's done by a natural person.
Okay. And then the other question is that where do I find a security re register?
Okay, Simon,
Simon, I think you're cutting
don't know
out.
if it's me that's
And
got.
No, we can hear you. It's Simon because I see his image is also Simon. If you can hear us, perhaps I can continue with the questions for now. Then we can try later and see if you are back on. So I think the question was, where do I find a security register template?
It is available on the CIPC website. There is templates available on the CIPC website, where all the information that is required will appear on.
Yes, it's under step-by-step guides, right?
It's correct, yes. Apologies. On the step-by-step guides, you also indicate, will give you more information also with regards to the supporting documents for the different company types.
Okay. Larita, in a case where a company has ordinary shares and preference shares, do we add beneficial ownership together when submitting the beneficial owners?
It doesn't really matter what type of shares they have, because at the end of the day, they have, irrespective of what the shares is, type of shares, they have interest in the company. So you can, on the security register, you can indicate what type of shares they have, and but they, whether it's what type of share, they are still a beneficial owner, irrespective of the type of shares.
Okay. Then, why must I complete a natural person as beneficial owner if a juristic person has 100% interest in the company?
I'm sorry, Alma, I didn't hear you.
Okay, I hope my sound is okay. Why must I complete a natural person as a beneficial owner if a juristic person has 100% interest in the company?
A juristic person can not make decisions. So there are natural persons behind the juristic person who is making the decisions on behalf of that juristic person. And those are the beneficial owners. A beneficial owner is a natural person. So a company cannot be a beneficial owner.
Okay. I don't know. I see Simon is back with us. Simon, do you want to try and ask the next question? I think it's question 7.
I think you may continue, or maybe I should just. Okay, let me just continue then. Thank you, Elma. Loretta, why must I complete a natural person as a beneficial owner if the juristic person has 100% interest?
Thank you, Simon. Alma just asked a question. The answer would be it's a juristic person cannot make decisions on its own. There are natural persons behind the juristic person that makes the decisions, and we want to know who those people are and the type of control they have in that juristic person.
The other question is that if a foreign company owns 100% in South Africa, South Africa entity, how must the information reflect?
If a foreign company has interest in a South African company, it will be it will show on the securities register where the foreign company information is appearing, but we also need to have information of the natural persons of that foreign entity.
Thank you, Loretta. We do not have any shareholders with 5% or more shareholding. Is the completion of a beneficial owner register relevant in this instance? And what process should I follow?
Yes, if you have less than 5% interest, you are still beneficial owner of the enterprise. What will happen is you will most probably select the non-affected company without BO. In other words, you are not filling in the information of the beneficial owners of the company. On the securities register, it will show us who has what interest in that company and also the natural persons. Once again, it's advisable to attach the disclosure document because the disclosure document draw us a picture of what is stated in the security register.
Thank you, Loretta. I received a notification which confirmed that my beneficial ownership was filed, but it does not reflect anymore. Why?
Beneficial, the confirmation of filing the beneficial ownership. Once you have filed it, you will get a confirmation that you have filed your beneficial BO information. The difference will you will not. It's not available to the public first of all, and it will depend on what type of company you have selected. A non-affected with BO will get a certificate, but any other company, the affected and non-affected without BO will only receive an email to confirm that the filing was done.
My last question to you, Loretta. I cannot file beneficial ownership. Therefore, I am forwarding the documents by email for the CIPC to register the company's beneficial ownership on my behalf.
Unfortunately, we are not allowed to file documents on behalf of customers. It is a fully electronic automated process. So you will need to have we cannot file it on behalf of customers. Customers will have to the filer needs to file the documents electronically. No manual filings are available for beneficial ownership.
Thank you very much, and over to you, Elma.
Okay, thank you. I see we have some time left, so if Lucinda don't mind, she has joined us now for the webinar. If I can put up one or two questions and she can just help us with answers. The first one says, sorry, can CIPC please share a template of a disclosure form? We received a beneficial interest register template from CIPC. Is there a difference between these two forms?
Thanks very much, Alma. Just confirm for me if I'm audible, at least.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much, everybody, and good morning. So just a quick one for the disclosure form, Yumna. There is a difference. So the beneficial interest register and the securities register for BO filings is legislated. The disclosure form is just, there is no template for that. So it can be in the form of an organogram, it can be in the form of a table, whatever the company wants, just to give the CIPC an idea of how the ownership structure fits in together. This is specifically applicable where you have complex ownership structures with multiple ownership tiers, that you submit a disclosure form showing that the declaring company is owned by another heuristic person, has a shareholder of a trust, has another heuristic person that has voting rights in terms of that entity. So where we talk about complex structures, the disclosure form is a good way of just putting the CIPC in the picture of the ownership structure and the different tiers of ownership.
Thank you. Our next question says, my understanding is that CIPC has a register of all registered companies or organizations. How is it possible that they don't know the beneficial owner? Is it not done during the process of registration?
Thank you very much for that question. So that is correct. The CIPC has a register of all companies and CCs registered on our register, but it does not provide beneficial ownership data. Remember, we do not keep shareholding information. So we have the information of directors of the entities, but we don't keep shareholding information. And a beneficial owner is not necessarily only a shareholder. We're talking about control as well. So it's very important for any declaring company to look at the definition of beneficial owner that we have provided simplified examples of, and it's available on the CIPC website, and then ascertain whether there is beneficial owners in terms of control, in terms of ownership that is not necessarily shareholders, and declare accordingly. So the CIPC does have a register of entities, but we don't have all that information. And that is now only in terms of this amended legislation that we need to gather this information. And that is why it needs to be filed specifically.
Okay, thank you. Lucinda, as far as I can see, it's the only 2 questions we have for today. So I think it brings us to the end of our webinar. I want to thank everybody that joined us. We appreciate that you took your time to join us, and we hope you're going to have a great day. Goodbye.